for Transformers 4 Age of Extinction Dinobot Grimlock. This is the Voyager class from the new movie. A lot of these showed up in Canada early, a couple weeks ago, and I was originally going to pass on them, and then Vangelis did some video reviews, and I was kind of like, okay, the Dinobots are kind of cool. So I had some guys pick me up some. So thank you to all my Canadian friends who helped me get these, or are going to be smuggling them down to me this weekend, and so on and so forth. You can blame Vangelis for making me do this. Not really. I was like I said, I was going to pass, but I saw his he had a little schemy hands Grimlock in his video review, and that was enough to make me be like, okay, that's kind of cute. So yeah, in this mode, he is a Carnotaurus, which is similar to a T-Rex. The proportions on it are a little smished here in the Voyager mode, but the leader looks super long up in the chest, and that looks weird too. So I don't know if you're going to get technically a perfect Grimlock. He comes in the new, very bright white stripe, large logo packaging with a window box and some character art on it with the bio on the back. And I gotta say, I do like these new packaging. This Transformers logo on the side really makes these pop out on the shelf. I've seen, so they've already started using these packages for some of the little, cheapy 2 points of articulation shampoo bottle looking giant robots, and they really do stick out on the shelf when you're walking down the aisle. So I'm hoping that'll really make the section pop when all these are out. Now, Grimlock does come with a kind of bone mace weapon with the blade. It's mostly for robot mode, but the instructions do show that you can take it, and it's designed, there's a couple little slots here on either side, and these tabs on his tail, on the bottom of his feet. You can actually take this and slide it up into the tail part to extend the tail a little bit and store the weapon. It does give him a much longer tail, but it does look a little silly. So we can get that, just to give it off. Articulation in this mode is, he's got hips, he's got a swivel here, that's for the shoulder, he's got a knee joint, he's got this little toe joint. There is a joint here that's mostly for transformation. You can use it, the little spur here, this tab into the shin. His little dino arms are on a ball joint. There's a cutaway here, so you do get that articulation that does kind of let him look like he's like going, aha, I've got a plan. Yeah! Alright, anyway, that was a Skeletor laugh. But yeah, so there, and he does have this chompy gimmick, which, again, if you saw Vangelis' review, you know, like, you push the button to close the mouth, and the spring holds it open just naturally. You're not going to get it to shut. And I would have liked that. I've looked to see if there's any way to reverse that gimmick. I would have liked it better if his mouth was shut all the time, and then you can push the button to open the mouth. But, at this point, it is what it is. The sculpting is kind of neat. The eye looks kind of maniacal. There's some detail up, shiny green detail up inside his head here. Let's see if we can show it off. No, it's kind of hard to get in there, and yeah, you can kind of see some detail. There's a little pupil up in the front. So yeah, like I said, it looks like, if you look at the art here and you've seen the trailer, it looks like he's probably going to be kind of a boring, dull, completely steel gray in the movie, if he even turns into a robot, and not this vibrant black and coppery silver dinosaur. Although I think that's really more to give the toys more of a toy-like look and a cohesion, kind of a colorful cohesion on the shelf when they're all together, because they do look good together as a group. It look kind of like a Sentai team, like Power Rangers or something, when they're all in all the various colors. Now the horns up here on his head, you can fold them down to give him a little bit more of a standard T-Rex type of look, or the face of your pet dog when he realizes you have just found your shoe full of urine. Because if you fold them all the way down, they do kind of look like droopy, oh, I'm sorry, like a dog that's just been caught doing something wrong. Fold them back, but they are. There's an option if you choose to accept it. This message will self-destruct in 10 seconds. Anyway, so transformation-wise, he is pretty simple. It's not too bad. You just want to come out here, unpeg the legs. They're pegged in up under this chest plate, or you can just pop the chest plate up. Either way, pull the legs down like this. Pull the arms down. These panels swing out and around. We'll tab them all the way in a minute. The feet flip up. The dino head lifts up, but first you got to kind of get this piece out of the way here. Or unpeg this from here. It pegs them right there. Lift that up. and then the top of the dino head lifts up. And while you do that, you got to split this. And while this is splitting, and again, it helps if you fold the horns down a little bit to get them out of the way. Because as you split this, you push the centerpiece up, over, and through onto the back. And you flip the horns back up. We get that out of the way. And that comes down to the back. Bring the legs down. The torso piece comes down. And very loosely pegs onto this. You may want to thicken that peg because it does tend to want to flip up. If you move the shoulders, it doesn't peg on very tightly here. I guess you push it down. If you push it down, it does peg on a little tighter, but the joints up here are so stiff that it will wiggle it loose eventually. And then you push this up here, bring this down, fold it onto the back. And these become shoulder pads. Again, you can lift those up. The two halves of the dino skull become shoulder pads. He stands up on his feet. These come around and peg into the front of the leg here to form the hip skirts, and then the arms you can do whatever you wish with. I think putting them up kind of there on the hips is really the best place to do it. The arms come down, rotate. I flip the toe down and rotate this whole thing around, and this tab pegs into the same part on the shin where the front of the foot did in Dino mode. Now, when you do it like that, unfortunately, it does give him. If you want his fist facing forward, it does give him the kind of curly gorilla arms. However, because of the way it transforms, if you don't want to plug it in, you can actually rotate the fist around to the side. You still have the paw hanging off, and it doesn't sit quite as much against the arm, but it still sits right up against the arm, and you can actually give him a standard elbow bend, which is how I prefer to do it. So again, you gain a little bit. You gain like maybe 0.5 millimeter of the arm sticking out a little bit more, but you get better posable arms, and that's really that's a positive trade-off for me. But you do still have quite a big chunk of just dragon foot, or not dragon foot, dinosaur foot, just hanging off his forearms there. And then the mace, again, if you want, you can just pop this piece off and have him hold it under his hand like a sword, and just plug it into the bottom if you want. But it's intended to be held like this, and then plug this in as a giant kind of mace weapon. Whichever way it goes on. There's one. There we go. There's one flat side on it, so it only goes on one way. And there's robot mode, and it's a little skinny in the torso. You can tell that like if he does transform in the movie, it's probably going to be a little bit more filled out than this, and not quite. I think the shoulder pad. We've seen some pictures of it. I think the shoulder pads aren't quite as floaty up in the air as these are, and his forearms aren't quite as. Here's a robot arm with a giant dinosaur shin hanging off of it. But yeah, I like the motif of his helmet. All the Dinobots seem to have kind of a knight/honorable warrior motif going on with them. So like I said, I'm really looking forward to having all of them together. And we just have these pointy chews here on his feet. Again, no waist swivel based on how it all locks down. The head does turn, and he's got a big, nice, thick, beefy neck there that his head's sitting on. I mean, you got the shoulder joints, the bicep swivel, hinge elbows, and the wrist swivel if you unhook those things. Swivel legs at the double hinge at the waist, a thigh swivel, and then just a hinge knee, and then, like I said, the foot does have a little bit of motion there. On the back, he does have a giant dinosaur jaw, just hanging off there. You can kind of fold that up a little bit, but then it just sticks out further. But you can kind of make him twerk. You can just kind of pull a Miley Cyrus there with the spring gimmick. So I guess added bonus feature. But anyway, yeah, there he is. There's Grimlock. Just a quick size comparison. Within the movie line, here he is with Dark of the Moon's Murder Bee. So he's about standard size, like height-wise, he's about standard Voyager size. Mass-wise, like I said, he's a little skinny, but not the end of the world. I do kind of dig the copper color used on him. He looks kind of like butterscotch pudding, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he's going to be more dull and monochrome in the movie. I don't think you're going to see these vibrant colors on him if he does become a robot in the film itself. All in all, like it's pretty cool. Like there's a lot of not perfect things about it. Like there's some gaps in dinosaur mode. And I feel like since these are already flip around the legs to combine, or for robot mode, they could have made that, engineer that so those panels folded up and maybe covered some of that black gap between the back and the lower body of the dinosaur mode, but it is what it is. I will say, though, like, I'm very forgiving of dinosaur-themed toys. I love dinosaurs. I have loved dinosaurs since I was a kid. I've always liked the Dinobots, and while this is not your traditional take on them, it's still some fun dinosaurs, and that's really kind of how I feel about him. He's a fun little dinosaur guy. So yeah, I think if you had a choice, I don't know how far I'm going to get into this line. I'm definitely going to collect all the Dinobots. I'll probably stick with just Voyager GRIMLOCK and the 4 deluxe Dinobots. I don't know if I'm going to go after Leader GRIMLOCK, just because, like, I don't know that his robot mode is enough of an improvement over the Voyager to justify the really weird, elongated dinosaur mode. But we'll see how it looks when it finally comes out. But there he is, Transformers 4 Age of Extinction, Voyager class, GRIMLOCK.